10 Players News was asked a question from Sarah V about a cosmic story, and if we knew anything about it. This is a story that came out a few years back, Sarah. In 2007 to be exact. And we did hear of it, and a million other stories. But the man who brought these particular claims to light was a gentleman by the name of William Rutledge, who was living in Africa at the time, and claimed to have been on a NASA mission. But his words have received very little attention. At least for the magnitude of these claims, if it actually happened. Now some of you may be familiar with this story, but for those who aren't, we'd like you to meet Mona Lisa. Not this Mona Lisa. This Mona Lisa. It's said that on a classified mission to the moon in 1976, to investigate a large unnatural object in the Delport Isaac region of the moon. An object which was first discovered during the Apollo 15 mission, was investigated during this classified mission. This object they investigated is said to have been an ancient craft nestled in a massive crater, which crashed or was abandoned in ancient times. It's said this was a joint mission between the United States and Soviet governments. And that a Russian lunar module landed near the craft and entered it. The claims are that this ancient craft was so large, that it would look like the sitting next to the Eiffel Tower. After entering this craft, which is said to have been millions of years old, 2 bodies believed to be pilots were found. One too deteriorated to recover, while the other fully intact, and female. This would be Mona Lisa. After looking at Mona Lisa for a while, the only thing we could wonder, is what she would have looked like alive. Since the body was said to have been millions of years old, we were left with only one conclusion. That she must have been pretty hot. You don't want to know what I started personally thinking about after that. But it involved her being alive, with no clothing on. After that short unprofessional fantasy, 10 Players News got back down to business, and realized that this must have been one badass lady to have piloted such a craft. The head of the other entity was all that could be retrieved, since the body was too badly damaged. But the body of the badass female EB, which stands for extraterrestrial biological entity, was said to have been fully intact, retrieved, and nicknamed Mona Lisa by the crew. Now we're not here to claim such a story is true. But there are factual photos of an unnatural object on the moon. But whether or not this story is a fact, is for you to decide. Perhaps it is. Or perhaps it's nothing more than a hoax. Bullshit. Hogwash. A sham scam. But stories from Roswell to Barney and Betty Hill have been going around for ages. And they're just 2 of a shitload of people who never change their stories, from the first time they tell them, to the moment they leave this world. And we're speaking of people with no history of mental illness. The 10 Players crew has traveled all over this globe, seeing quite a bit. And we're certainly not mentally ill. But William Rutledge on the other hand is a gentleman who didn't come forward with the story until the age of 76. It's not like he told the story when he was 30, and stuck to it for 50 years. Then again, the word classified means, you better shut your fucking face about this shit. Or else. There are some stories we can vouch for as fact. We all know the UFO moving cargo from a truck in Germany is fact. Just as the China airport, and Jerusalem UFOs as well, are facts. The same way we know these carvings were done on ancient Egyptian walls long before these modern machines were invented. They just don't teach this shit in your schools, or they indirectly tell you all these ancient cultures all over the world who drew shit on their walls of motherfuckers coming out of the skies, were dumb retarded fucks making up fantasies. But a shitload of pilots and military motherfuckers claim this shit's real, and that it's covered up. But there are a lot of hoaxes out there as well. So the most we can say about this particular story, Sarah, is nothing. Other than that some guy told it, and claimed the shit's true. But we can say we've seen with our own eyes, some very real shit that looked fake, and some very fake shit that looked real. The items in the footage correlate with the times, but the 10 Players crew isn't gonna claim this particular story is a fact. We certainly wasn't there. So that's for you to decide. Now before we go, we know there may be a few of you deeply into the cosmos, and are ready to jump right in talking about the Pleiades, Sirius, Sirians, Agartha, Federation, Command, Planetary Ascension, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th dimensions and more. But those are other stories. Understand that this particular video was a request for the Mona Lisa story. 10 Players likes to deliver facts. And we can speak on facts, from the creation of the universe, to the holographic elusiveness of the 3rd dimension. But the only thing we can tell you for a fact about the Mona Lisa story, is that a man told it, and that there's footage of it that can be viewed. It could be hogwash, but if it was true, it would be interesting. We can't claim it's true. But nothing shocks us. Nor do the claims that Mona Lisa is on Earth. And is actually alive.